Alright, hello everybody. So I'm gonna try this new type of video. I'm gonna call this series photo essays. And what I want to do with these new videos is just kind of give a summary, and in this case a snapshot of the life of John Carlos, what he stood for, that type of thing. If you like these videos, be sure to let me know in the comment section and I'll continue to do more of these. But let's get into it. This is John Carlos. Alright, so in this picture we see him um, actually getting third place in the 200-meter dash down in Mexico City in 1968. Um, what was most important about 1968 was their display of, I guess, African American unity and advocating for human rights on a global scale. Tommy Smith came in first. He is pictured there in the middle. And as you can kind of see, just going back to this first picture, Peter Norman, an Australian sprinter, was someone who uh, received second place. He got in second place, and you can see in that picture, John Carlos is actually looking over to his right because he realizes that Peter Norman actually beat him out for that second spot. But if you look closely at the picture, Norman is also wearing the same badge that Tommy Smith and John Carlos are wearing. That's the badge for the Olympic Project for Human Rights. And Tommy, Tommy Smith and John Carlos worked closely with the Harvard rowing team to kind of distribute those badges and really get their project heard among the athletes. Peter Norman was someone who gladly cooperated and wanted to show his solidarity with the human rights project that was going on at the Olympics at that time. Okay, so just a quick intro to John Carlos's background when he was a kid. This is a picture of Ella Fitzgerald performing at the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem. John Carlos grew up in Harlem, and it was there that he kind of got a look into race relations in the United States. At that time, um, there were many black performers who came in, artists like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, who had to enter in through the back door of the ballroom, even though they were the main event. They were the performers for the night. So he kind of saw that as something that he didn't quite understand, but it took a little bit of time, and he kind of he took that experience with him throughout the rest of his life, kind of viewing that how he did. Other performers at the Savoy Ballroom were Fred Astaire and Frank Sinatra. So, just to jump ahead really quick, this is Tommy Smith the left and John Carlos on the right, receiving the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage at the ESPYs, I believe. Um, and so this is clearly a while after 1968, but it kind of shows that years and years later, their message still holds true today. But they weren't always, and at the time there was quite a lot of opposition to what they did. People kind of perceived it as these radical African Americans who were trying to undermine what who white people were in the country and that type of thing. That wasn't really the message at all, and there was backlash from both sides. So Jesse Owens, who's pictured here, he of course performed very well at the 1936 Olympics in Germany, and Jesse Owens shockingly told the athletes at the Olympic Project for Human Rights. He basically told them that what they're doing is not worth the time, and they should just run their events and be proud that they're there at the games and they have the privilege to be athletes. Um, However, other athletes thought that that was not good enough, that they needed to use their influence as successful athletes to show that not all was well and good in the United States at that time. Pictured here is a young Brent Musburger. Here's a more recent picture of him. He's a sportscaster, I believe, for, is it CBS? I don't know. He comments a lot on the football games, the college football games. And his significance in all this is that he came to prominence as a journalist because he criticized what Tommy Smith and John Carlos did. So that was kind of the norm at the time. Many people were opposed to what they did. They saw it kind of as disrespecting um, America and disrespecting the United States as a country. Other types of things that kind of were sort of um, what can I say? How do I say this? Tough times in John Carlos's life when he went to East Texas State University right after graduating high school. It was at this university where he kind of got an idea of the more harsh side of race relations because it was East Texas after all. And it was a lot different from Harlem because in Harlem he realized, or he came to know that being black is something to be celebrated. Black is beautiful, and you can, just looking around him, it wasn't seen as a negative thing. However, when he went to East Texas, it was an entirely different situation. Um, so that's just a little bit about, I guess, the opposition. But all in all, my own personal view is what he did on the medal stand took courage, and I think nowadays it's important to recognize courage, um, especially when you go against the majority, because everyone deserves to have their voice heard, and for something that is so important, such as what they stood for in 1968, that's something that will and has um, kind of been at the it's it's something that was brought to people's attention, and still nowadays when you see someone raising their fist over their head, that's what you think about. So that's just a quick snapshot of John Carlos's life. Again, let me know if you like this type of video, and I will continue to bring more of them.